Hello, my dear students. How are you today? Today I will give you a good lesson about IELTS reading solving class. The passage is in book number 7, Cambridge 7, test 2, passage 1. Because I have already given you the whole 3 passages solutions in my channel, test 1. Now I am showing you the solving class of passage 3. So I mean passage 2, test 2, passage 1. Okay. Same, we first go to analyze the headlines, if there is any headline. Yes, in the passage we find there is a headline, why pagodas don't fall down. Okay, so from this headline we can understand that the passage is about the pagodas that is mostly found in the Buddhism countries, maybe in the countries of China, Japan, or the countries in the east of the world. We find pagodas mostly in the Buddhist temples. So you understand why pagodas don't fall. From this headline we can understand that pagodas actually fall down because of the heavy environmental catastrophes, but the passage may be saying about they are not falling down. Okay, side by side we can read some sentences of the passage. In a land swept by typhoons and shaken by earthquakes, how have Japan's tallest and seemingly flimsiest old buildings, 500 or so wooden pagodas, remain standing for centuries. Okay, we are totally clear that what the passage is about. Okay, so what should we do next? We go to the question, see the question patterns. In the passage we see there is one question pattern, that is true false not given, question number 1 to 4. Then there is also another pattern classifying the following as typical of. This pattern slot is about question number 5 to 10. There is a typing mistakes. This one should be Japanese. Okay, and the third question pattern is about multiple choice. This is from 11 to 13. Okay, now we read the question very carefully. The first question says only 2 Japanese pagodas have collapsed in 400 years. Here we can underline the word only or make it a different color, only. Okay, and the time 1400. Okay, the Hanshin earthquake of 1995, here we can underline the time frame 1995, developed the pagoda at the Toshi temple. We can also underline the place occurring the earthquake, Hanshin earthquake. Okay, the third question is the building, the other building near the Toshi pagoda has been built in the last 30 years. The last 30 years should be different color. The other buildings near the Toshi temple, Toshi, and other buildings also. Okay, now question number 4. The builders of pagodas knew how to absorb some of the power produced by severe weather conditions. Actually, here we can underline the word knew The builders of pagodas knew how to absorb some of the power produced by severe weather conditions. Also, severe weather conditions make it a different color. Okay. Classify the following as typical of. The next question pattern is classifying the following as typical of both Chinese and Japanese pagodas. Only Japanese pagodas, only Chinese pagodas. So the characteristics should be matched. Now question number 5, easy interior access to top. So easy interior access to top. Okay, access to top. Underline access to. Tiles on eaves. Okay, tiles on eaves. Then use as observational post. Okay, the temple used as observational post. Also full. This paraphrase are in ellipsis form, so we need to underline or make a different color whole of this one to get the maximum concentrations. Size of eaves up to half the width of the building. Here we find a measurement half eaves comparing with the building. Okay, done. The next one is original religious purpose. So used as a religious purpose. So we can underline religious purpose there. Then floors fitting loosely over each other. Floors loosely fit over each other. Floors each other can be underlined. Okay, now we see the multiple choice. In a Japanese pagoda, the Shinbashira bears the full weight of the building. So here we find the full weight. Full weight can be underlined or make a different color. Band under pressure like a tree. Band under pressure like a tree. Pressure. Bands. Tree. Okay. Then connects the floors with the foundations. So floors. Foundations. Stops the floors moving too far. Floors too far. Okay. Shujo Isida performs experiments in order to improve skyscraper design. So here we can underline or can be focused. The word skyscrapers. Be able to build new pagodas. New, we can underline the word new pagodas. New. Learn about the dynamics of pagodas. Understand ancient mathematics. So the dynamics and mathematics here. And the mathematics is about ancient. The stories of a Japanese pagoda are linked only by wood. So here we can underline the word wood. Fasten only to the central pillar. Fasten to the central pillar. Okay. Fitted loosely on the top of each other. Top of each other. Joined by special weights. Special weights. All should be underlined or make a different color. Okay. Now you understand. Now we actually know the questions. What type of questions are here? Then the second one here. Okay. Now we read the passage. In a land swept by typhoons and shaken by earthquakes, how many Japanese tallest and seemingly flimsiest old buildings, 500 or so wooden pagodas remain standing for centuries. That could shows that only two have collapsed. Here we find a word only. Two. And the two. Okay. Only two have collapsed during the past 400 years. Question number 1. Only two Japanese pagodas have collapsed in 400 years. Here matching the same way. Only two Japanese in a land swept by typhoons. Here in a land, and what is the land actually? We find the land and Japan. So Japanese pagodas, actually mentioning Japanese pagodas. So if we go to the question, what do you see? We see only two Japanese pagodas have collapsed in for 100 years, 100% matching. So this one is yes. Okay, then you go to the passage again. Those that have disappeared were destroyed by fire as a result of lightning or civil war. The disastrous Hanshin earthquake in 1995 killed 6,400 people, toppled elevated highways, flattened office blocks, and devastated the port area of Kubi. Yet it left the magnificent five-storied pagoda at the Tosa Temple in nearby Kyoto unscathed, though it leveled a number of buildings in the neighborhood. Okay, then we go to the next question. The Hanshin earthquakes of 1995 destroyed the pagoda at the Tosa Temple. What do you see? 1919, 1995. Actually, 1995. The question says the earthquake of 1995 destroyed the pagoda in Toji Temple. But what the passage says? The passage actually says the disastrous Hanshin earthquake in 1995 killed 6,400 people, toppled elevated highways, flattened office blocks, and elevated the port area of Kubi. Okay, yet it left the magnificent five-story pagoda at the Toji Temple. So, what the actual earthquake devastated the area? I mean, highways and other kind of mesmerizing damages. But what do you see? What do you see? Left magnificent. Here we find left magnificent. The temple at the Toji Temple. So there is no damage. There is no damage. Left magnificent we find, and Toji Temple. So there we find no damage. But the question says the disasters in 1995 destroyed the pagoda in the Toji, but the passage says no damage because of this earthquake or environmental disaster. So what you say of this question is totally false. So no, the answer is no here. Okay. The third question is the other buildings near the Toji Pagoda has been built in the last 30 years. Already we have read the passage, but we don't find any kind of information about the constructions of the other buildings of the 30 years. We don't find any kind of information here, so we cannot say anything that we find other kinds of infrastructures and building and constructions near it. We find elevated highways, office blocks, and devastated the port area also that has also been built by the people, but we cannot say this kind of structures has been built last 30 years or more. So we cannot say anything whether true or false. So this question should be given, actually not given. Question number 3 is not given. Okay, now we go to the question number 4. The builders of pagodas knew how to absorb some of the power produced by the severe weather conditions. Okay, what do you see? The builders actually the engineers and the mechanics or the people who built the pagodas at the time, they had the knowledge of securing the constructions, I mean the pagodas, so that they can be intact or they can be easily available after a long devastating or long catastrophic events. Okay, then we go to the passage and read the passage carefully to find these informations. Japanese scholars, so here we find a scholars, okay, have been mystified for ages about why these tall, slender buildings are so stable. There we find the word stable. Okay, it was only 30 years ago that the building industry felt confident enough to erect office blocks of steel and reinforced concrete that had more than a dozen floors. Okay, so this kind of development is very recent. From the passage we can understand, with its special shock absorbers to dampen the effect of sudden sideways movements from an earthquake. The 36-story Kasumi Gaseki building in central Tokyo, Japan's first skyscraper, was considered as a masterpiece of modern engineering. Okay, when it was built in 1968. Okay, yet in 826, with only pegs and wedges to keep his wooden structure upright, the master builders, here we find a master builder's name, Kubudaishi, had no hesitation in sending his majestic Toshi pagoda soaring 55 meters into the sky, nearly half as high as the Kamusugaseki skyscraper built some 11th century later. Clearly, Japanese carpenters of the day knew. Here we find a word knew. They knew a few tricks about allowing a building to sway and settle itself rather than fight natural forces. But what sort of tricks? So here we find they confirmly used tricks and they knew the tricks. So the question number 4, what the question number 4 says, the builders of pagodas knew how to absorb some of the power produced by severe weather conditions. Absolutely right. So this question should be answer yes. So this is a yes answer. We can say the answer is yes. Okay, then what do you see? Here we find some characteristics, some criteria of the pagodas in the country Japan and China. So the question is about A, B and C. First one is both Chinese and Japanese pagodas had the same characteristics. Only the Chinese pagodas has, only the Japanese pagodas has. Question number 5 is extra. So question number 5 is easy interior access to top. So easy interior access to top. Let us continue the passage. Okay. The multi-storied pagoda came to Japan from China in the 6th century. As in China, they were first introduced with Buddhism and were attached to important temples. The Chinese built their pagodas in brick and stone with inner staircases. Easy interior. Staircases can be said as interior. Okay. And we see only, here we find the country Japan. Again, China. The Chinese build their pagodas in brick or stone with inner staircase and use them in the later centuries mainly as watchtowers. When the pagodas reached Japan, however, its architecture was freely adapted to local conditions. Here we find the country Japan. Okay. However, its architecture was freely adapted to local conditions. They were built less high, typical 5 rather than 9 stories, made mainly of wood, and the staircase was dispensed with because the Japanese pagodas did not have any practical use but become more of an art object. So here we find there is no staircase, but in Chinese pagodas we find in inner staircase. So how you should go to the top? How can you go to the top? You must have a passage, whether it is staircase or other kinds of ladders or anything. So what you see, the Chinese had the inner staircase, but the Japanese pagodas did not have that kind of any practical use. So what we can understand from here, only the Chinese have the staircase to go the top. So we can write the question number 5 as question number 5 is B, answer B, only the Chinese pagodas have. So dear students, dear viewers of my channels, today this is enough for you, I think. If you want to know more about IELTS reading, you can contact with me directly so that I can help you to any kind of question solving strategies or question solving capabilities. Whatever the level you have, I will give you some time or the time you need it. It is flexible. I'm here eagerly to help you candidly. So please visit my channel regularly and watch my videos and updates. And if you want to learn anything, you can directly contact to me. You can find the contact address, email, and the numbers. You can connect to me anytime, anywhere. I have a team. I have a very good volunteers group. They can help you. Okay, thank you very much.